Hello and welcome to episode 3 of David's Notebook, a podcast where I go into the ins and outs of a working photographer, some of my monthly inspirations and some great new music. Each month I dig into my little notebook here and go through some bits that I've written down, things that I've been shooting, things that have come to mind, or things I think could be valuable sharing, And in these past few weeks since the last episode, I've shot more pictures in that time than I had in probably the 2 months previous combined, if not a bit more. It has been wicked. I can't express how much fun it has been to have a camera in my hand so often and in such a varied way, and I'm going to dig into all of that in just a second. And stick around because I've got some really fun bits of inspiration, things that I've been really enjoying this past month, and then a song at the end that I absolutely adore and I'm really excited to be able to share. I didn't think I would be able to, and the artist has kindly said yes. So stick around and find out who that is at the end. So this past 4 or 5 weeks, I've been shooting pictures, what feels like non-stop. The natural break that I got over Christmas and New Year, Happy New Year, by the way. The natural break I had between Christmas and New Year around then really kind of played into shooting loads of pictures. Went from Cornwall back up to Surrey for a couple of weeks. And whilst I was there, I really made the most of not working and just shooting pictures. Started off with a great commission for a long-standing client of mine called Wonderbly. They make children's books, and we have shot loads of campaigns together over the years for new releases of theirs. And the shoot we did most recently is actually one of my favourite things to do with them, and that is their staff portraits. I love it. I can't really put into words how much fun that scenario is unless you truly get it, or if you're also a portrait photographer, that buzz, that fizz you get from being around those people, extracting interesting stories from people and hearing about their life and being inquisitive and getting a laugh or a smile or a funny expression or a change in body posture, or making someone go from being like, oh, I'm sorry, I hate having my picture taken, to at the end, you can see they visibly relaxed a little bit. They look strong and empowered and brilliant. And I photographed, I think it was about 40 or 50 people that day, and it was ace. Absolutely loved it. And I think everybody has a picture that they've walked away with and that they're happy with, unless they've lied. I don't think they did. And particularly special is when people will be the ones who are more nervous and they come in dreading it and they leave saying thank you and that they've actually enjoyed the experience. And that means the world to me. Whether they adore the pictures or not, the experience is actually really important. And it tends to lead into them actually liking the finished product, which is really, really cool. It's also quite special because I've been photographing those guys for years. So there are some of the people that work at Wonderbly I've photographed multiple times now, and it's really quite special actually, and lovely. You kind of get this person sitting down in front of you for the 3rd, 4th time or something, and it's that special bond. I can like remember the last time we shot together, and they have another level of comfort because they've been photographed by me before, so it's familiar settings despite there being a big light right in front of them and a couple of polyboards up and a colourful background and they're tucked away in the side and all these things that could be distracting. Actually, there's a familiarity in that, and it's just wicked. So, and for my friends and family who have been photographed by me loads of times over the years, I hope they have that same sense of, oh, this isn't a scary picture being taken, this is just spending time with David. And yeah, from a selfish point of view, I love being in that environment. I love those kind of shoots where you've got like 3 minutes with someone, then you've got 5 minutes, then someone might be around for 10, and then you can talk more and hear more about their story. And then for me, like that whole scenario when you're shooting those pictures, everything just comes to life and I love it. So yeah, that was ace. So that kind of kicked off a really fun couple of weeks of taking pictures. So I'd also spent some time with my friends Ben and Francie, who look after and run MB Cyclery in Hazelmere. Shot some staff portraits of them, which is really, really nice. They've gone through quite the year this year, and I wanted to be able to kind of give them a Christmas present, I guess. You know, I used to ride bikes with them years ago before I got injured. And now I'm not really a very good customer because I don't buy bike stuff anymore, but I can offer a few pictures to them. And that was a really lovely afternoon we spent together and hanging out in the shop and catching up over the last few months and things. Yeah, that was really cool. So I got some great portraits of them, which I love. I also spent a day nearby there with my friend Ed. Now, Ed is a farmer, and on their lovely farm, Hollycombe Farm, they look after both sheep and cows. And I messaged Ed and I was like, look, I would love to just come and spend a day with you. I want to see what your day-to-day looks like. I've been to the farm a couple of times before, so I know what it looks like. And I'm like, gosh, this place is beautiful. And I would just like to see Ed in his kind of natural environment. And in my mind, I had these kind of like gritty, rainy English winter images. And it was perfect weather. We had sunshine all day. There was no real wind. And it looks idyllic. For those of you who are watching this, I'm going to show you a few of the images. For those of you listening, I'll describe it. Basically, imagine like if you shut your eyes and think about the Surrey Hills, rolling hills, dotted around there's like a few single trees, and there'll be like a forestry area, and then you've got this perfectly grazed field, either full of sheep or a handful of cows. It is such a picturesque place. And then you've got Ed, who is a really fascinating, interesting guy who I've got to know a little bit over the last year or so. And his he was very willing and happy to talk through what he does. So as we're going around, we're like collecting stuff from like the main store, collecting bales of hay to go and feed to the animals. Instead of just saying like, oh, David, yeah, we just grab these and go and feed the animals, he was explaining to me, he's like, well, what tends to happen is that a lot of this actually goes to people who own horses. But people that own horses want the most premium stuff they can get their hands on. So the best stuff goes to them. And then some of their hay bales, just naturally by being stored in a barn, will be a little bit more dusty and they'll lose that yellow colour and go a bit more grey. And he said, our animals love that just as much. So that's the stuff we use to feed with. And I was like, oh, I would never have even thought of that. You know, it's those kind of bits of information and those interesting stories that I latch onto when I'm taking pictures. And it was really cool because we went together when he was dropping off a couple of hay bales for a local customer. And she had a lovely turkey named Turkey. I had to ask, as it was just before Christmas, I was like, is Turkey going to be with us next year? And she was like, oh yes, Turkey has been with us for a long time and will stick around forever. I was like, good to hear. So it was cool kind of following that story with him and getting a feeder set up for the sheep in a new field. And, you know, we had to clear lots of stuff in front of the field and get the pickup truck in there. And then Ed's dog, Manu, is an absolute lunatic. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Ed. But he's mad and he's wonderful. And we had to chase him at one point, and then we had to lead the sheep through a gate I was rattling a food bag and Ed was going behind them on the quad bike because Manu couldn't control himself. So we put him back in the truck, and it was just a fascinating day. And I got to meet the cows, and the cows were lovely. They're so nice. They've, what's the big one called? Major. Major was great. It's this enormous boy, but quite chilled out. Gave him a little scratch on the back and he didn't really notice I was there, but it was quite a lovely experience for me. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. And the pictures are just an extension of how much I enjoyed that day, I think. And it's those days that I look at and I go, gosh, like being a photographer is great just from the chance to tell these stories. You know, it's a personal project. I'm not doing that for money. But those pictures have a certain emotional value for me, and it's really important, to be honest. Another set of images, oh gosh, there's been loads going on. A friend of mine here named Ellen, she and I have been scheming about stuff we could shoot together, and I had this idea for ages about shooting a nighttime running shoot by the sea, like trail running. I described that terribly then, but you get the idea. And I was like, let's go for it. Let's try it out. So I had this old head torch, I gave Ellen the head torch to wear, and we just walked along the coastal path between Polzeth and the headland there. So it's, you know, it's like a 2-kilometre stretch, not even, and we didn't even use all of it. And again, like working with someone else, Ellen has got the experience of being in front of the camera quite a lot. So it was quite an easy shoot for me. Like, I remember the first shot we did was quite like a simple, nice, kind of little bit of like walking motion lifestyle shot, atmospheric, big backdrop in the background. And I was like, okay, so let's just do this. I'll walk backwards uphill, you walk this way, and we'll just shoot a few frames. I think I shot 5 frames, like, yeah, we've got it. She's like, really? Like, yeah, that's it. Don't need to keep going, like, got the shot, let's go. And we spent like about an hour shooting a bunch of trail running stuff, some more lifestyle things, some kind of big world, small person thing, which is cool. And then at the end, I was like, I really want to try this idea. I want to use some colored gels with one of my Pro Photo lights and try some slow shutter speed stuff. And bear in mind, this is like last light. There's a little bit of blue left in the sky, which looks really cool. And we came up with this image, which I absolutely love. It went straight into my portfolio online. And if I get the chance to print a book at some point again, I'll probably bung it in there too, because I just think it looks really cool. So thank you, Ellen, for being so willing and cooperative with these silly ideas of mine. So yeah, that was super ace. And there'll be more from the two of us coming up. Ellen's a fascinating person in her own right. She makes custom wetsuits. She and her partner run a coffee and surf shop nearby here in Rock. Yeah, a good mate to have around, which it's been really fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to shooting more with them. More stuff to have taken pictures of. I was back at home for Christmas, so pictures of the family was really sweet, and then spent some time with some of my best friends around New Year's. So we spent New Year's Eve together, and then on New Year's Day we went down to West Wittering on the south coast. Got in for a quick dip, bloody cold, but I mean, we had a lovely walk, 10 or so of us, and the dog, and we just had a lovely time. And these are the people that I've done life with for a few years before moving to Cornwall. So spending time with them, hearing what they've been up to, them asking me about what I've been up to, and just being in the space with them again. It was so nice. It really was lovely. And those pictures, for me at least, they're full of joy, and there's a familiarity there with, you know, I've photographed most of them before, so there's an ease of me having a camera around, like they've known that about me forever. Some of them have known me, you know, 6-7 years, I think. So they've been around for a long time, and yeah, just a really special day. Now, the reason I've been talking about all of these things I've been shooting is for the artist in oneself, the going out and shooting pictures for the sake of shooting pictures. Getting a camera in my hands, it kind of it speeds up that process of feeling creative and feeling inspired, which we all need at times, and it's a distraction from other things in the world, and I'm just playing, I'm having fun. And I think there's so much space to be had in that play, that state of play. And I've probably talked about it before, and we'll likely talk about it again a million times, but it is wonderful. And it's just shown me that I've got this chance to hone in technical ideas in a non-paid space, and practice stuff and try things out and try different things with framing, or, you know, just flex those creative muscles. And that's been really, really cool. And what I would love to do is kind of keep that thread going forward. So I have quite a cool list of personal project ideas, whether it's a story I want to tell or an art brand I want to work for. I've got quite a long list of people, and I'm trying to keep most of them local so that with my free time, I can go and shoot personal projects. And I'm setting myself a bit of a challenge to do one project a fortnight. Now that's, it will be a stretch, if I'm totally honest, it will, but I want to push myself in that way so that I've got a way of expressing this kind of creative excitement and joy and energy within me. I've got to get it out, and photography is my way of doing that. So if I'm pushing that envelope of going, hey, like, this is my idea, let's go and do this, I feel like I'm sharpening my tools and keeping myself prepped for when the next commission comes along. I'm ready, and I'm like, hey, I just shot something like 2 weeks ago. Does that work for what we're doing? Could we use that? So yeah, that's quite an exciting prospect for me. So watch this space. I'll keep you updated with more of the personal work. Now there's a fairly nice segue here, I think, into my monthly inspirations, because the idea of shooting multiple personal projects with a certain level of frequency actually comes from a friend of mine, Mr. Tom Barnes. Now Tom is half of a duo with Greg Fennell, and they run a podcast called The Exposed Negative. Now, Tom, he and I go quite a way back, actually, which is really cool. We first met when Tom was a customer at London Camera Exchange in Guildford. I can't remember what I sold him, but Tom went through a stage, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Tom, of trying every camera system under the sun. And I would take great pleasure in seeing him walk through the door, because it'd be like, right, Tom's getting rid of his Canon stuff and he's probably going to buy something else. And he would. And it gave me a good amount of amusement, but it was a really easy person to talk to. Tom's self-admittedly a big guy, like an imposing tall man, but very gentle. And I really loved spending time with him when he was in the shop. Later on, I got the chance to assist him twice, I think. Once at Guildford Market, I would hold a backdrop behind someone's head. He could do some portraits in the market. And then he wanted to shoot some skateboarding stuff in Guildford. So I was like, well, mate, let me introduce you to all my friends who skate there. I'll come and help you out in the day, get some behind the scenes pictures, that sort of stuff. And we stayed friends since, which is really lovely. And, this is going back years now. And Tom has been a really great source of inspiration, but also kind of guidance for me over the years, which is really cool. We occasionally meet up for a pint and usually some sort of greasy burger, put the world to rights, talk about gear, because we're both nerds, really. Sorry, Tom, again. But on that topic of gear, Tom seems to have followed through on his task of doing the great simplification of stripping his gear back to the bare essentials, to what he really needs. And I did find that quite an inspiring thing, because we as photographers, and anyone who's got a hobby or a job that involves needing to buy stuff, it's very easy just to keep getting things and trying new stuff. But actually, I think you get to a point where you're buying more things and they're not really adding any value, whereas stripping things back might actually create a bit more creative space in one's head. And I really got a lot from those conversations we would have in person about that. So I'm trying to follow in his footsteps, and I'm here to tell you about their amazing podcast, the Exposed Negative, that he and Greg do together. If you're a photographer and you're not familiar with the Exposed Negative podcast, do yourself a favour and follow it and listen to their wonderful back catalogue. They interview some amazing people, have some great fireside chats, talk about everything in the industry. And frankly, they are one of the things that inspired me to start my own podcast. So please go and check them out if you're in the photo space at all, because it will mean the world to me that you've done that. And I'm sure they'll appreciate it too. And I'd like to think that you'll get a lot from it, probably more than you get from listening to me jabber on. Now, there's an amazing podcast called Looking Sideways. Looking Sideways goes into all sorts of things in the action sports world, discussing the big topics and the small ones. And Matt, the guy who runs it, I really applaud the areas he pushes into. And he's made this amazing community, and he's given space and voice to people that wouldn't necessarily get it. And the stuff he puts out is really relatable. And just simply put, go and check it out. If you've got any yearning in your heart for the outdoors, for action sports, for the environment, for people, I just think it's a really valuable source. And he gets access to some really fascinating people. I'm not doing it any justice at all with my rubbish explanation, but just go and listen. Go and check it out. A podcast for your list. A final bit of inspiration for me has been a really good book that I've been enjoying this month. I'm not a out-and-out reader, but I do enjoy it. I tend to like things that are like sci-fi or kind of crimey sort of things. stuff that gets me out of my head, that doesn't feel real necessarily. I like it to be a fun thing. Yeah, fiction stuff. There you go, David. There's a word for it. But yeah, this book I've been reading, Past Crimes by Glenn Eric Hamilton, I've really enjoyed. And it's quite exciting. It's quite gritty, about a guy who's come out of the army to go and see his grandfather, and then something's happened to his grandfather and he's got to figure out what's happened. It has flavours of the Jack Reacher novels, if you've read any of them, or if you're familiar with the TV show on Amazon, also worth a watch. So if you like that stuff, I'd recommend this book. I'm just really enjoying it and thought you might too. Okay, so here we are. We've made it to the end. Thank you for listening in to what I've been up to, the things that have been inspiring me, and I'm thrilled to share with you some new music. Now, I couldn't quite believe that this band said yes, because licensing music to play in a podcast, you have to get permission from the artist, which is fine. It's less likely to happen when the band has any sort of notoriety. Before you get too excited, Metallica haven't said yes, not that I've asked them, but this is a band that I discovered at some point in the last 12 months, and it just spoke to me in the joyous pop punk kid that lives in here somewhere. This is an Orlando-based band who make like up the guts pop punk music. It's fast paced. Dude, the drummer, I've been playing drums for like 20 years, right? And I love playing along to other music and kind of, just sticking my headphones in and playing along. Playing this particular song on drums, it kind of ticks all the boxes for me. There's like half time, double time, there's tom work, there's hi-hats, there's crashes, like there's everything in it, and there's energy, and you can't help but like bang your head, and it just rips, this song. I freaking love it. And I am over the moon that not only did these guys say yes, I messaged them on Instagram 10 minutes before starting this show to say, is there any chance you would let me use a song of yours? This is the song I want to use, and this is why I want to use it. And they went, yes, with a big exclamation mark. And I was genuinely shocked. I'm so grateful. So, to the lovely guys of the band 408, you guys rule. Thank you so much for letting me share your song called Again, Again, Again. And I have been playing it again, again, and again, and over and over and over, because I just think it's such a good tune. The guitar parts, the gang vocals, the drums, all of it, I need to just shut up talking about it. Check out the song, check them out on Spotify, get stoked, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
One small step for man, one giant leap